Hi. So after sharing a lot about what's sort of the reasoning behind exhaustion and how stress can lead to exhaustion, where the stress and anxiety is very linked to childhood patterns, I want to just share with you my I'd like to call it a system, I suppose, to how to work through it. But what's really important is to understand that the system is not set in stone, and it's going to be different for everyone in terms of how they use this. And they might, for each individual, you may find you will go through the different stages and then go back to a stage and then go forward again. So essentially what I've started to do with my clients and what I've realized through my own process is the most important aspect is to, first of all, create safety. So I've already shared a few, I shared a post and shared some suggestions around how to create safety. So this is starting to trust that you are safe in the world. This can be done through grounding exercises, through breathing and breath work, and through meditations that are focused on safety, and EFT exercises where you start to challenge your belief system. So EFT is emotional freedom technique. It is tapping, and it is very useful for changing your body's response to belief systems. Well, basically it's working with the energy in your body, and it just shifts that around belief systems and memories and symptoms even. So it's great for changing belief systems. So first and foremost is just to become conscious of the fact that you may actually have a sense of not being safe in the world and not trusting the world and not trusting other people. And this is usually around feeling that you can't depend on others, or you don't want to burden others, and this results in a need to protect and not being able to then receive. So safety is very important, a sense of being safe. I'm obviously going to be sharing more detail around this, but I'm just giving the broad outline now. Secondly, which is also related to safety, is self-nurture and self-care. So as I mentioned in my earlier videos, there's a tendency to disconnect from the self, to shut down, and what this ultimately means you're doing is you're shutting down from that inner child part of you that was battling, and that part of you, when you are battling, still, it's what you shut down on. You're shutting down on that part of you. And so nurturing is about reconnecting with that part of you that needs to be heard and acknowledged. And it's about hearing and acknowledging the need to just to be whether you are battling or not. And that's the thing, is that there tends to be a belief that I can only express myself if I'm in a good space, or people will only accept me if I'm in a good space. I must not share my negative sides. And I'm not saying go around and share everything and be depressed with everyone all the time, because you also, obviously, we still need to have some masks for protection. It's about being conscious of having those. But it's also about being aware that you are allowed to say to yourself, I am not okay. I am not doing okay. And to those who you feel safe with, and perhaps to a therapist. Self-nurture involves self-care practices like going for a walk in nature, resting and reading a book, eating healthy, nourishing food, just spending time with you, spending time in play. That's also hugely important, because play is a real good way of connecting with the inner child. And then I will be sharing inner child exercises as well, such as writing to your inner child. So safety and self-care, safety and self-nurturing are very important. The second part of it will be acknowledging your stress and then finding ways to release it. So connection means that you need to start to see and feel when you are feeling emotion, when you have stress. It is feeling what it feels like in your body, and it is acknowledging that it is there. when you put a lid on those emotions, you suppress them, they don't go away, and they just cause trouble. They cause imbalance in the body. They cause stagnation and physical symptoms. And when we release when we acknowledge and see and recognize our stress and our emotions, they're released. It's literally like taking that lid off the boiling pot, and the anger of the water dissipates and it settles. And this takes practice, and it also takes some guidance, and that's what I'll be sharing with you as well. And then there's other ways of releasing stress. EFT again is a very good one. Obviously talking about it to a therapist, to someone else you trust. So what tends to happen then is, as you start to let go of stress, you're also starting to let go of the emotions that are linked to having perhaps felt that you were not loved, that you were not good enough, having felt afraid. And as those things come up, it's important to feel them as well, because they have to be released for you to feel safe. So, but as long as you're holding them and suppressing them, there's going to be this imbalance and this tendency to try and live in a sleep way in the world, which just results in becoming ill and exhausted and being half alive. You're not living fully, you're not feeling fully, you're not loving fully, you're not receiving fully. So there's this process that happens, and as it happens naturally, it can be scary at times. And then that is when you go back into your grounding and your self-nurturing and bring that back in again. You keep going back there, keep going back to bringing those practices in, because once they're there, then you know what to do, so that you know that you're not like that child who had no resources and skills anymore. Then the third part of it is about connecting and receiving. And this is sort of a spiritual aspect to it. I am talking from whatever faith, religion, non-religion you have. It can be, I tend to focus on the universe and energy. We are all, for me, we're all connected energetically. We all have a divine essence within us, which is within every one of us. And we're all connected, and what we do to ourselves impacts on others, what they do to themselves impacts on us, and we're all held in a much bigger unfolding picture with this evolutionary drive to be the greatest and highest version of ourselves that we could be. And this is referred to by Maslow, who was a psychologist. He spoke about self-actualizing. And for me, spirituality is about self-actualizing. It is about allowing this true divine self to be out there in the world. To be able to do that, it's about connecting to your intuition and to your divinity. And it's about receiving that support from outside of you that is going to help you to do this. So that evolving drive that is pushing you to self-actualize, we have to be open to it and trust it. And this is when we step into what I call flow. And it's amazing, because then we can start to co-create our lives. So you put forward what you would like in life, but you also leave a space for allowing that to come in whatever form it needs to. And this is a far cry from controlling everything and resisting what is happening. So often we resist it because we think it's bad, but actually it's a very necessary part of what has to happen for us to grow and learn and to step into our greatest and highest version of ourselves. So this receiving is about receiving support from an unseen force around us, within us, however you see that, whatever you see it as. It's also about receiving from those around us, and people who have and who offer advice, who share a book, who have just the right they've just had this experience that just touches you and just resonates on such a deep level. When we become open, there's so much, I can't begin to share how amazing this is. There's just so much flow that starts to happen, and so much that enters your life that just supports you on this journey of just being your highest and greatest good. And you start to just receive so much energy from it. You start to tune into the energy that's already within you at a much deeper level, that's been shut off because we were afraid of shining in the world. So these are the three phases with the different aspects of it. in brief, and I will be talking more about these as we go along. I'd love your thoughts and feedback and questions on this, please. Okay, so take care. Bye.